RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show, or midday live talk show. Excited to be back for some more back and forth, and looking forward to sharing a lot of interesting stories, as well as finding out whatever else is out there worthy of covering. Because as I've always mentioned before, there's more stories than we can actually touch on in one episode, but we're going to do the best we can. So I rely upon you, the audience, to share your stories as well as whatever else is on your mind. So we're going to do that and have some fun with it. So hope all is well. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to the live stream. My name is Mike, the host. Looking forward to having some back and forth. If we have any new viewers, feel free to let me know where you're watching from. We'll love to acknowledge your presence as well as welcome you to the community. And I'll check in via chat, and then I have about 6 or 7 articles I'm going to just basically skim the surface, share my 2 cents on it, and then we're going to talk our way through this stuff. So check in via chat real quick. And also I'll make a couple announcements beforehand, but we got Solo in the building, we got JoJo, we got Eddie Cruz from NYC in the house, we got Dexter, Dave, appreciate you, my man. Miles, we got Simon, Monkey King, what else we got here? Jim Diggs, let me see, got Chris in the building, SLV, definitely, that's the topic of the, it could mess around be the topic of the century as this whole silver market rigging unravels due to the disconnect between the paper futures spot price and the real actual physical in your hand. So we're going to touch on that as well. What else? We got David out here. It says Ethereum will kill itself. Some crypto talk. Philbin says, question, which cryptocurrency do you think will see the greatest gain in a year or two? Whew, okay, I have my thoughts on that as well. So we can touch on that. We got Johnny Deep in the good. Okay, so a fair amount of people here. Midnight Green from Philadelphia. Appreciate you, my man. So, all right, so let's dive into it. As always, I want to make sure, because as I put out the little message or note over the weekend saying how I've been getting more and more emails and DMs saying, Mike, I don't get notified when you go live, and some comments was like, you have to try to pick a particular time. And of course, it's hard to schedule an actual live event and cover all the stories, as well as try to do other things and got my kids. And so, yes, I need some help with that. So that's why I want to make sure I encourage everybody to join the Discord page. And so the Discord is where we have a chance to connect throughout the day. So articles are shared throughout the day there. And that helps me basically gather all this news to present to you guys in the evening time. So the link beneath this video here will get you to the social media tab. And I encourage you guys to join the Discord so that you can share your thoughts and interviews or whatnot on there, and we can connect via opportunities there. And also for the off-air unfiltered talk, I'm making that available for the Patreon. So if you're interested in having some unfiltered talk, I encourage you guys to join the Patreon page for any amount there, and give you a chance to connect with us. We're going to do at least 1 or 2 connections during the week and just talk about real world events without having to worry about censorship and things of that nature. So it's a much smaller group, more intimate conversation. So if you guys are interested, feel free to do that. And so let's dive right into it. All right, so this past weekend, of course, we had the acquittal of the former. And if you haven't noticed how every mainstream news source makes sure they put the word former in front of President Trump. And so we had the acquittal of President Trump. And so basically they were not able to get enough votes to actually impeach him for the second time. So I've seen a lot of tweets saying he's 2-0. But once again, I'd assume they had to have known that that wasn't really going to lead to much. But of course, this is all a political charade, as I mentioned before. The goal is always to distract us from the underlying problems, which happens to be in the financial system and all the seams of the system are coming apart in so many different forms and fashions. And so, of course, we have pressure on the Federal Reserve note, aka the dollar, with the Dixie and whatnot. And so nations around the world are deciding to bail right now. And they've been doing it, incrementally throughout the last couple of years, but it's really speeding up now. Just look at all the excitement around the digital asset space, as well as the newfound passion for a lot of stackers to get their weight up. And so a lot of things are unraveling. We're going to talk about that. But once again, I think this whole past weekend with this whole Senate situation, that as it all basically much resulted in nothing, is more of how desperate they are to keep us, our eyes in one direction while making sure that we don't ask any questions on anything else. And so I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on that. So feel free to chime in. And then one thing I want to definitely mention here, which is a great article that I encourage you guys to check this one out, because Yvonne Ben Grier's Switzerland, gold hedge fund manager type of guy, does a great job of sharing his 2 cents on the current state of the global economy. And this article here, it touched on a lot of things that I've forgotten over the last couple of months to even touch on. And it's entitled, "There Will Be a Historic Crash in Global Assets, but This is the Real Danger." And I can save you a little time with this one. But ultimately, he lays out a good foundation as to how we've gotten to this point. And of course, using COVID as a cover up for this current meltdown and monetary reset. And one of the biggest things that he pinpoints is how debt, of course, debt is going to be the biggest problem, but it's the amount of debt that has been issued over the last 12 years now since the great financial crises, and how Fed balance sheets are pretty much peaked and they've topped off to where it's no longer, you can no longer hide how bad it is in regards to the debt realm. But one of the things he touched on here was the whole derivatives market, and he was saying that basically the derivatives markets falls on the balance sheets, as well as it falls back onto the commercial banks, which are the too big to fail banks. And so I've been touching them on that for a long time now, but I've gotten away from that. And here he lays out a lot of great graphs as to how, at this current moment, we're at $280 or so trillion of global debt. And he's anticipating, according to the stats here, it getting to about 360 with no interruptions or whatnot, which is impossible because something's going to occur this year more than likely. And to solve the issues or try to paper over the issues, it's going to be a quadrillion dollar problem. And it all stems around derivatives. And so here is just a little visual aid here that talks about the amount of currency that central banks in collaboration together are going to have to come up with to try to keep this thing afloat, to the tune of about 2 quadrillion or so. And imagine, the 360 trillion projected and the additional quadrillions on top of that, which basically means the end of the current debt-based monetary fiat system, the way we've known it. And that's the biggest elephant in the room that no one outside of the alternative media space seems to be really talking about. So great article here. But yeah, just upon the fact that the derivatives market, which will be a major issue moving forward, which could literally, this next market correction, which is coming, we got, more than enough macroeconomists talking about the fact that something's about to give. And so as a result of whatever gives, it will ultimately unravel the derivatives market, which I think will be the final nail in the fiat paper game confidence system altogether. So interesting article if you want to read more for yourself. And then, of course, how can I not touch on over the weekend, the silver ETF, SLV, admits trouble sourcing metal and vulnerabilities to dramatic short squeeze. And so basically the disconnect between what is supposed to be inside the vaults backing up the SLV, which, of course, the prospectus was changed according to sources given over the weekend. And, of course, they basically made it so that it can provide a way out for themselves by basically changing the rules of the game at the last minute because of pressures. The fact that more people are looking to actually source physical, and the physical is not there. And so London has been drained. There's nothing here, stateside to meet all the future contracts that are due. And of course, I got another thing here in the Discord. I appreciate, I think Tony B was talking about this. And here's the metal futures expiration calendar. And so for silver, the 24th of this month here is a date that a lot of people are harping on in the alternative media space, because it's a day that a lot of people will look to actually collect. And of course, there's not enough to collect in regards to the amount of paper contracts to claims of metals out there in existence. So this month here is setting up to be a month like we've never seen before, where to hint at one of the questions out there, at what point will this all unravel? We're witnessing it now, but I think it's going to really escalate further at the end of this month, as I think the Cliff Highs and all those individuals are mentioning that we should really, we got literally about 2 weeks, a week and a half. So if you are of the mindset of going to get your hands on as much physical as you can, right now is the best time to do it, because like I've said before, the prices that we have now, whatever the premiums are on top of those, will probably be the cheapest you'll ever be able to source it, given all the basically the exposure of how manipulated things have been, and the actual fact that there's no way of placing an actual price on these metals moving forward. And so it's something worthwhile. And of course, amongst all that, here we have some interesting stories as to how important physical precious metals are. We got Idaho State House approves a bill to hold gold as an inflation hedge. So once again, when you have more states making sure that they are placing their treasury into something real and tangible in the forms of sound money, you know how bad things really must be getting on the home front there. And then, of course, we got the Texas situation. So Texas. And so for all my community members out there now in Texas, feel free to chime in, give me a call, let me know what's happening on the ground there, because I've seen more than enough pictures of, family members there for myself as well as others showing snow out there. And of course, that's not something that's common. So everything appears to be in the biblical time frame of like the end days type stuff, where we got weather, we got rumors of war, we got all types of pestilence, and yeah, so it's not pretty out there, people. But this is what's going on. So they're talking about power outages, and yeah, and so the grids are being tested there severely, and given the fact that they're heavily solar as well as wind with the turbines, those things are not really producing much when the snow is covering it all up. And I'm hearing about the actual price to power things out there is going through the roof. So stuff worth mentioning there. All right, a couple more articles here, then I want to hear from you guys. The SEC commissioner highlights the need for crypto regulations. And so this came out as of today, and I shared this in the Discord page. But we have the primary person, SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, highlighted that there was an urgent need for clear cryptocurrency regulations at the time that all financial institutions, including the banks, are rushing to get their hands on Bitcoin, of course, and as well as others. But it says U.S. government won't allow corporates to keep replacing the dollar with Bitcoin, warns investment advisor. And at this current moment, the momentum is so strong that if there is some type of harsh regulation is put out there and it leads to a sell-off in Bitcoin, it itself will probably bring down the financial system, because of all the companies and whatnot that's putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, which is basically driving up and keeping the share prices of those corporations at an all-time bubble high as well. So things worth talking about. And then the last article here, and I'll open to phone lines, is JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley are eyeing Bitcoin. Here are the big Wall Street names warming to cryptocurrency. So at this current moment, when you have all these entities rushing in to get their hands on something that is labeled as Gold 2.0, lets me know that this is right in line, lock and step with where they wanted this to be heading into 2021. So here we are, people. Anyway, all right, so enough articles there. Now let's get to whatever else is on your guys' mind, and we can just talk and just have some fun with it. So I want to make sure I rant less and open up the phone lines, because I want to hear from you guys. So give me a call, 313-462-0027, and let your voice be heard. Share your thoughts or comments or whatever, and let's talk this stuff through, because we are literally in the midst, like everything that's transpiring right now is how the reset or the restructuring, as I've always mentioned, how it will take place. We're witnessing now. And it's one of the things where, of course, we're being told according to what they want to orchestrate and how they want to unravel it. But yet you just look at all of these events occurring now. This is exactly how things are restructured. And of course, there's articles out there about Putin deciding to officially de-dollarize their economy over there. And so the dollar, the Federal Reserve note, preferably, is no longer the preferred store of any kind by institutions, governments, you name it. So therefore, that tells me that, if you have not already begin to lessen your exposure towards a dying fiat currency, then you might be stuck holding a bag, and the wrong bag at that. So, but anyway, let's talk. Okay, I got it all off my chest. Here we go. Let me check in via chat real quick, and I want to hear from you guys. Of course, there's more stories out there. Feel free to chime in and let us know. And so David says, we've got some Cardano talk. And so the question is, I think from Philman earlier, was what project or what coin or whatever would I hold that has a good year, 2 year, 3 year potential to it. So let me actually open up this little coin 360 graph here and put something on the screen here, because clearly I think the projects that have the most upside are the projects that have the greatest chance of unraveling as well as reshaping the current financial paradigm when it comes to investing. And of course, that happens to be in the decentralized finance realm, or DeFi space, CeFi space. And so, of course, you have Ethereum, which has been the door opener for this revolutionary movement of removing financial matters out of the hands of institutions and placing it into the hands of individuals directly via your phone or via your desktop, to where you can handle your own financial matters ultimately in this space here. So Ethereum, of course, is the introduction, but it's been clogged up due to the fact that the technology needs an updating, of which they're doing that now. But I don't think the change will occur fast enough. So I'm excited about DOT and Cardano, as well as Cosmos and all those other platforms that are offering the same type of movements, but yet apparently they're stepping it up by offering the technology right away. And of course, with Ethereum, it might take a while for all that to bring itself to the surface. So there you have it there. Those are my thoughts there. But of course, we have all the payment processing coins, like, of course, Litecoin and Digibyte and all those Bitcoin Cash and whatnot. So those are going to become very prevalent as well, as people look to basically bypass utilizing Federal Reserve notes and credit cards and whatnot, and wanting to actually make transactions directly using those coins and whatnot. So I think it's going to be a lot of promise offered in those things as well. So, but anyway, enough of me ranting, man. Let's talk. Let's get the phone lines open. Let me hear from you guys. What do you guys want to touch on? Feel free to chime in and let me know what you're thinking. And it says here, we got here some Texas. Here, lady from Bardare, Texas. It's freezing cold here. Record-breaking freezing from Brownsville, Texas. So Tiger Lily, I appreciate you for sharing that. And here's one of the things that you can, but then you can't also, because when it comes time preparing for freezing temperature in a region where it's not typically that cold, how do you really prepare for that? Of course, I saw a couple pictures with people with some fireplaces and whatnot, and talking about it's their first time lighting it up ever. And so a lot of these things right there, when it comes to weather, you can't really prepare for primarily other than just bundling up. But then we have power outages. Those are at times where you got your backup sources of energy and whatnot. But yet, once again, you never think about it coming from the point of the weather triggering the grids to go down, or there being such a need for power at that moment that they have to basically divvy it out and allocate it out evenly as best they can, leaving the outages. And so Simon says global warming. Yeah, global warming, global cooling, you name it, however they want to paint the picture of the earth is changing, of course. But, my personal opinion is that, me having been in the alternative media space for quite some time now, I've been talking about how they have more than enough devices that can manipulate the weather. And so I don't look at this cold front as being something that's definitely common or normal or natural. And so I wouldn't be surprised that, given the fact they have the technology to manipulate the weather, what better way to continue to add more problems into the world other than manipulating weather, sending this cold front right on through towards a region that doesn't usually get this, adding on top of the financial issues, the political issues, and all those other issues, you name it. So trying to pile it all on all at once. All right, what else we got going on out here? And also, for those that have not been getting notified, I put together a little email list where I'll try to send out a notification ahead of time. So if you're interested, if you don't happen to get the notifications from YouTube, which I wouldn't expect that everybody does, just because the viewership itself says speaks for itself. But if you go to rethinkingthedollar.com/live, sign up there. I'll make sure to try to notify you guys, so we all can stay connected well beyond YouTube if it comes to that. All right, but what else? The phone lines are open, people. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know, because I don't want to hog the mic, but yet I want to hear from you guys. Let me see. I see a lot of talk about Texas. We got pro crypto talk out there. Grand solar minimum. Yeah. So once again, when it comes to the weather in those regards, there's a lot of people out there that do a great job of covering that. I saw people talk about Ice Age Farmer or whatnot. So those are definitely people who cover all those topics there. I try to stick to more so what the show has been geared toward, and it's basically helping people understand the importance of thinking beyond its current monetary paradigm, in the form of realizing that ultimately there's no financial future in the Federal Reserve note. And if you know that and understand that, then you'll definitely get yourself into some real tangible assets and position yourself accordingly outside of all the other life necessities for trying to navigate this current restructuring as best as you can. And says the one and only call Louis says, Mike, will you be taking that jab in the arm? And so my personal choice will not be to inject into my temple anything that is not natural in and of itself. So I personally have no interest whatsoever in participating in anything of that magnitude. So no, in a sense. And that's another thing I want to touch on another note is, once again, in this current age of pushing science and experts and leaving it all up to the government to say and tell us what's best, of course, they never bother to mention anything in regards to, faith and spirituality and whatnot. And then one thing that really hit me hard to really consider and to think about, even share with you guys about a week or two ago was, for me personally, as a believer in Christ, and me realizing that this current temple here it's a dwelling place for the Lord Himself, I really don't want to defile it with anything in the form of any type of science-based technology type of stuff, even if it's being painted as something that can save my life or save others. I personally I would rather put my trust and faith in the Lord, and when it comes to the medical side of things, to where I personally feel comfortable taking my chances and not putting anything that I consider a defiling of my temple into my body. So that's another point that I have about it. And on top of that, I don't trust it. I don't trust science or the experts based upon the information that's been given to me at this current moment. So there's more enough alternative information out there that lets you know that we need to be questioning everything and not taking any of this stuff, information that we're being provided from the mainstream sources as facts 100%, because there's a greater agenda behind that. And of course, when it's championed by Bill Gates and headed by Dr. Fauci, those are two individuals you should question every day, all day. And so what else we got here? It says, who is buying all the houses? So great question, Michael. I've seen enough stories here, I think in Florida especially. There's a lot of wealthy individuals, borderline billionaire, high multi-millionaire individuals that are literally willing to buy up anything that's tangible and that can act as a store of value in terms of being able to put those fiat notes and those digital dollars to use in the sense of getting out of the system. And so all these houses that are being purchased in large quantities by institutions that's putting all their funds together to buy these real tangible assets, that is another form of de-dollarization. So they're getting out of fiat currencies. And so this is happening all around the world. And of course, we've been talking about how those in China, because of the restrictions and the capital flight leaving the country, they're trying to buy real things. So right now, we're witnessing the rush to get physical in any form you can. And they're buying up assets at alarming rates at any price. And that's the thing, given the fact we're looking at, as a response to the current market conditions, the Federal Reserve as well as the Treasury, they're going to be forced to continue to do more of the same, which is to further expand the monetary base, which of course, as of now, it's being the amount of inflationary pressure is being held back, given the fact that people are saving this. A lot of people are saving these and paying down debt or whatnot, so that's causing deflation. And so as a result of this, there's going to be a day of reckoning where you won't be able to hide the amount of currency that's being brought into existence. And so it's a mass dash to get as much physical as well as the new digital assets into your possession as fast as you can. So that's why everybody's buying up anything they can. And so Midnight Green says, do you still have metals to sell? Unfortunately, Midnight Green, nope. I took the RTD rounds down just because the premiums to get those collector rounds now have become very high, to the point where it's like, it was a great opportunity when you could get your hands on it. But at this current moment, just the premiums to get something in the form of rare collectibles, I don't think it's really worth trying to actually encourage people to do, because at this current moment, the spot price at whatever it is right now, which is about $27.56, factoring in the premiums for the collectibles. So the collectibles are extremely rare because they're limited edition supply of the RTD rounds especially. And so there's been, I think, maybe a couple hundred put out there. And so those holders of those coins there, you're in a rare breed there, because you have something that you may not see ever again. Therefore, I think the value of those coins down the line will probably carry a much higher premium than your generic rounds or whatnot in your government issued rounds, because they're rare and they're going to be, I believe, they're going to be collector's pieces to where I personally would not be looking to move them anytime soon. I would definitely be moving the generic stuff a lot sooner than those limited edition rounds. So, no, I think they're probably gone for this current moment, given the disconnect between the physical and the spot price. And so what we see here, it says home values are going up, BTC that's pushing up property taxes. Yeah, and I think another topic worthy of talking about is the current regulation that will be coming pretty soon due to the corporate mass hysteria to get, as of now, Bitcoin especially onto their balance sheets and into their treasury as savings. And so there's going to be some things coming down the pipeline pretty soon that will probably be in favor of crypto, because I think as more institutions jump on board, they cannot do something that will cause a panic and a massive sell-off unless it's intended to allow more institutions to get in on the dip or whatnot. Because as of right now, the adoption side, I think, is too interconnected to the system for them to try to really unravel it at the seams, because it will also be able to bring the system down as well. Because MicroStrategy, for example, their stock portfolio has their share valuation of the company has basically, I don't know how high it's gone, but it's extremely high. And you got all the banks that have bought into MicroStrategy, so they're all subject to taking a loss if for some reason there's some type of fear that causes MicroStrategy to have to unload their Bitcoin, and that could definitely bring the markets down. So I think they're ultimately going to allow this thing to continue on, and just ultimately try to put more pressure on the early adopters and have them pay a higher tax. So the goal is basically, so Uncle Sam is going to want his cut of the pie. And so they're ultimately going to try to tax. And of course, we know Biden is going to raise taxes anyway on those that have been good financial stewards with their finances. So expect higher capital gains tax when it comes to the crypto space, I believe. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, bro?
TB, doing good, my friend. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Not too bad. I'm just wondering what people are thinking about when Bitcoin is being used by the elites. How are we going to do this $400,000? Because you're going to have to sacrifice $1 to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had to answer, yeah, go ahead.
That's not pretty, because you're sacrificing pension funds, you're sacrificing bonds, you're sacrificing everything just to save fiat. It's a different kind of fiat.
Yeah. No clue, man. No clue. And that's another thing. Like, all these institutions that are getting on board with this, they're getting on board because they need to actually, I guess, make some income on their own end for those promises. So how it all unravels, I don't know. But I would imagine that they're going to try to convince the older population to get into Bitcoin on their own, so that they can also reap some of these rewards as these old financial products are reneged upon. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see, man.
Well, I think what they'll end up doing is just transferring everybody's 401ks and IRAs over to the Bitcoin status of it. But eventually, that's because they're right now they're pumping all these trillions of dollars. Where's this money going? It's going into things like Bitcoin. People don't realize that, but that's where this money is going. It doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's going in the stock market. It's going in BTC as part of the stock market now.
Yeah.
So they're just steadily pumping this stuff in, and everybody's like, "Oh, Bitcoin, $400,000." But $400,000, and all you sitting on is $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. You only got a piece of 400,000.
Yeah. And then I think that the biggest question will be at that moment when all that wealth is transferred into a whole new sector in the form of the digital asset space, factoring in the current, I guess the other industries or whatnot. Like, what will you be able to buy? Like, how will that transfer happen equally? Because a lot of the younger population are the ones sitting on the biggest bag. So for the older retirees, it's going to be a race to still get tangible, real assets. And that's what I think people are going to come up short at, because it's just going to ultimately drive up the prices of real estate for sure, as well as metals and other things. So, yeah, it won't end well for a lot of people, man.
I think that they'll manage the markets
Mm-hmm.
To the point where everybody is asleep,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll just bleed you out slowly. And you're thinking, and next thing you know, it's going to take you a wheelbarrow full just to get a coffee. And then that's when everybody's going to wake up and realize that their dollar isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
But they'll have that already. They'll be into their new thing and on the next best thing.
Yeah.
And here we are left holding the bag. People need to wake up, man.
Yeah. Hey, man, I agree, my friend. Thanks for your insights.
Stop falling for the okie doke.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go, brother.
Good stuff, my friend. Thanks.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. At the end of the day, given a response to try to keep this system afloat, the only thing they can do is continue to try to inflate away the debt. And that comes through basically the creation of currency in the form of the Federal Reserve notes, as well as the euros and all those other currencies, which ultimately there's going to be a mad dash to get real tangible assets, man. And that's where the crypto space will serve its purpose as a transition vehicle. It's a backdoor out of the system. But then again, we're going to run into the same problems of, at that moment, if you become extremely wealthy in a sense, what will you be able to buy with it? And at what cost will your average everyday living expenses be when there's more currency chasing real tangible assets? And that's why right now is the best time to get things while you still can at what would be considered more of an affordable rate before all that currency try to find a new home in other tangible assets. So so we'll see, man. We will see. But anyway, we're going to continue the discussion. Feel free to join us over on the Discord page. And so we're going to have probably tomorrow night about 9:30 or so, we're going to do the Patreon unfiltered off-air chat. So if anybody want to join us there, feel free to do so. We're going to let it all hang out and have some real talk. And so take this last call. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
San Diego, La Jolla, California.
How you doing, my friend? What's in your mind tonight?
Yeah, nice to call you, Mike. Things are going pretty well. It looks like once the Democrats were in, the COVID got a little better for the states, it seems.
Yeah, cases aren't that bad these days, it seems. But yeah, they still want people to go out and get tested so you can get tracked and so you can get that jab. So that's not going away, unfortunately.
And don't forget the triple mask of non-submicron mask, the triple non-submicron mask.
Oh, my goodness.
Here's what I was calling about, though, to be brief, Mike. I have some insight on the current silver market, basically.
Go ahead, give it to me.
Well, this guy Manley, he's a trading broker. He's really knowledgeable.
Yeah.
He spelled it out. And I think you know Mario from Monaco 64. You've interviewed him.
Yep.
He interviewed with Chris. I forget where he's from. He's a real silver guy.
Yeah.
He's in the business.
Yeah.
And then they showed a clip of the Goldman Sachs commodities manager saying to Josh, who's Josh is this guy in the financial industry. He's like a stockbroker.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's really the smartest guy on all of regular TV. Now he's off TV and into the media.
Yeah.
But Josh. And the Goldman Sachs interview guy, the manager is the research manager. And what he said, to quote him, was this: the ETFs, the investment in shares of ETFs, are the shorts, meaning they form the shorts. And then basically Goldman Sachs or other bullion, whomever these guys are, not necessarily JP Morgan Chase and BlackRock, who hold the silver as custodial, criminal custodial, but they short that amount of ETF bullion that's bought by the SLV, and they use that as the ammunition to be able to legally short the market, even though they themselves don't own the silver. It's whoever is investing into shares of SLV, which is supposed to be a physical ETF, but it's just a derivative. You understand? But what my main reason for calling is this, and I want you to comment on this: the psychology of the fact that the media, the financial media now, is going past the sale. You know, when somebody makes a sale, like I say, and there's the deal, the best deal is $200 a month, and the guy and you hold your peace.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk past your close, you may not get the deal if you start talking after you made your close.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. That is showing how the silver commodities market is being shorted and suppressed legally using illegal ETF silver that's owned by people.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get off the air.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thanks for giving us that summary real quick. Thank you.
All right, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's the thing. Like, you know, the criminality of how this whole paper, derivatives, futures, all those products that was given to us after they demonetized gold and silver is all starting to be exposed now. And of course, as I mentioned before, it's the mad dash to get the actual physical in your possession. Anything else is in the form of a claim against anything. That's why I'm not for any of those backed, any crypto backed by this or anything backed by that. Anything that's backed is more than likely being used as a front to further, rob people. So you know what to do, people. Get your weight up, get your physical metal in your possession or in a position or a place where you trust it to be physically, where you can get a hold of it if you need to. So, hey, the game is rigged against you, man. But now that you know how bad it is, hopefully you have well beyond prepared yourself in a financial sense, of course, and go from there, man. But anyway, people, it's been great hanging out. As I mentioned before, I want to make sure I remind you guys to go check us out on the Discord page, social link button down there. Just click Discord page and join us over there for some after talk, as well as share articles or thoughts or whatnot. And we're going to have it fun over there. And also tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. for those that are interested, having some unfiltered talk. So become a member of the Patreon page. You can join us there live on air and join me face to face and have some fun and just talk things out, man. But other than that, it's good to connect with like-minded individuals. So that's what we're doing over there on the Patreon side. So other than that, also I want to make sure I happen to post articles throughout the day over on the rethinkingthatdollar.com site. So check us out over there as well. So other than that, people, it's been great hanging out. Hope all you are blessed and stay prayed up, and definitely, just trust in the Lord, man. Everything's going to work itself out as it always has. Peace.